Okay, so I've got one more recording here for Unit 1, Earth Science. We got Patterns of Climate Change. So again, this one's just a recording, so the most recent changes question thing, I don't really have anybody here to answer it. But you guys are my kids at Hope. You are talented, smart, and capable of success. You have dreams for the future, and you will climb to reach those goals and dreams every day. Doesn't really apply since this is just a recording. So you're going to learn about regular patterns of climate change and how to differentiate them, so tell them apart from each other. So last recording we talked about greenhouse effect, and in some ways there are maybe some impacts that humans have negatively on this, but there are lots of times when the climate changes. It has absolutely nothing to do with humans, and it's normal, it's a regular cycle. All right, so there are regular short-term global patterns that can be easily tracked and predicted. The most common ones you guys probably heard of, El Nino and La Nina. So we are currently going through an El Nino period. This causes short-term warming. All right, so this summer was really hot. We set some amazing records. All right, and El Nino is caused by the flow of water over the Pacific Ocean, right? So in the Western Pacific, so Western Pacific is going to be the opposite side of us. This is over in Japan and China and things like that. Western Pacific, some of the warmest waters on the planet, right over here. Normally the trade winds keep the water there. During an El Nino period, these trade winds start bringing this warm water towards the east side of the Pacific Ocean, so to the southern United States, Central America, South America. Okay, so during the El Nino period, instead of just being one big circle that goes like this, there's still some winds blowing the warm water to the west, but there's also a secondary pattern of winds that blows it to the east towards us, and that brings that warmness to us, hence El Nino causes warming. So some of the other effects of El Nino, winters in Canada and northern US are milder, got a typo there. There are fewer hurricanes in the Atlantic Ocean. The southwest desert of the US gets more rain. Where's Arizona? Yeah, we're in the southwest desert. Okay, so I will say this year didn't quite necessarily 100% match that, because I think our monsoon season was kind of light, but that could mean that over the winter we're going to get a fair amount of rain. So El Nino also causes some pretty distinct changes to our oceans. So typically speaking, upwelling is a process, and we'll actually talk about this even more next unit, is a process where the water from the bottom rises up, bringing food to the marine organisms that live off of South America. All right, what this warm air kind of prevents this upwelling, so that actually causes off the coast of South America many of the marine organisms there to either move away or to die because there's not enough food for them all. Okay, so just some of the effects of El Nino. I would say the key out of these couple of pages is just to make sure that you know what causes El Nino, and just in general what the effects are, so that if you had a question and it says which of the following is an effect of El Nino, you'd actually choose one for El Nino and not La Nina or something like that. Okay, so La Nina, kind of the opposite of El Nino. It causes short-term cooling. All right, so this happens when there's a buildup of cooler than normal waters and winds in the central and southern West Pacific. So this affects mainly this area. All right, so the warm waters, you bring in cold waters from way over here to this area that typically has much warmer waters. So some of the effects of La Nina causes more rain in Australia and Indonesia. La Nina also affects the US in the sense that droughts intensify in deserts. Okay, so we get even drier. This also affects, so this has a big effect on like major desert areas. We're definitely in a major desert area. Africa also has a major desert area. So those places get even drier. Winters are warmer in the southeast of the world, but cooler in the northeast. So this makes some pretty frigid winters for people, you know, like in New York. All right. So what I want you to do, because the big thing out of this is making sure you can identify El Nino from La Nina. Because when it comes to test and quiz questions, that's what you're going to need to be able to do. Make sure you spot the El Nino information if the question is about El Nino, or the La Nina information if the question is about La Nina. Okay, if you want to get credit for having attended, watch the recording, email me these items and whether or not it's something related to El Nino or something related to La Nina. Okay, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there won't be equal numbers on each of them. So again, email me the one, separate them by El Nino and La Nina, and that's how you'll get credit for having, you know, that bonus credit for attending classes, since these are just recordings.